Hey, what's going on, guys? All in channel. Another video for you guys today. Again, I do apologize for the sound quality. Trying to get the audio in a lot better sound than what I'm actually putting out right now, but it's basically the best I can do. So if you hear anything in the background or if there's a lot of static and stuff like that, I do apologize. But I wanted to get this video out because I wanted to talk about what's going on with WB Games. As you guys know, AT&T is going through a lot of stuff right now and unloading a lot of their assets. So, and making mergers and making deals, things of that nature. I won't get into those things specifically. That's a video for another day. I might talk about it a little bit when I start launching my pop culture videos for the channel. I want to get back into that. But right now, I just want to focus on the WB games and the possibility of Microsoft purchasing them. Now, a lot of this is coming up because of what happened last year. Microsoft was trying really hard to get WB games, and they were in talks with AT&T. It started off as rumors, but a lot of people out there that are in the know were basically talking about it and reporting that it was Microsoft was pursuing it seriously, and for good reason, man. WB has a lot of great studios, or WB Games has a lot of great studios, a lot of great franchises, a lot of great games. Um, but as you guys know, it didn't work out. Something happened, it fell through, and but the flip side of that is Microsoft ended up getting Bethesda for $7.5 billion. And that's interesting because that's pretty much why anytime something happens in this industry, and not just the gaming industry, as you can see, AT&T is a conglomerate. But anytime there's a lot of moving and shaking when it comes to this kind of stuff, Microsoft's name is always Microsoft is always in the mix. And again, if you drop 7.5 billion on a studio like Bethesda, um, it makes a lot of sense that it would be. You know, I talked about this in detail on my channel with He Bought the World's Most Powerful Gamer. Did a series of videos talking about the purchase and the ramifications of that purchase that was reverberating through the industry and will continue not only today but for years to come. Um, because that power play by Microsoft put them in a whole new. I mean, they're already on another level, but it just opened everybody's eyes up to where Microsoft, the level at which Microsoft is. So again, when something like this happens, man, of course Microsoft is going to be discussed. So I'll give you my perspective on it. I won't get into too much detail about it. As you guys know, I'm a pro Xbox channel, and one of the things that I've been talking the most about on my channel, and again, I've been doing a lot of videos, and I know I owe you guys that much, especially the guys that stick around with me. But as you guys know, man, I love Game Pass, and I think it's like it's an awesome service, and it's something that Microsoft basically kind of willed into existence, man. I mean, a lot of people didn't believe in what they were trying to do. I mean, look, Microsoft gets a lot of hate. That's part of the course. But Microsoft stuck with Game Pass, and now because of all that hard work that they put into it, man, and as a consumer and a fan, I'm benefiting from that hard work. To me, Game Pass has a lot of potential, and the sky's the limit. And the one thing that I like that Microsoft has been doing when they're acquiring all these studios or acquiring these titles and stuff like that, or opening up to third-party publishers, trying to get everybody on board specifically for Game Pass, is they're doing stuff to make sure that it's best for them and more importantly, best for the consumer. So even though Microsoft is $1 trillion company, they're just not going around and just buying everybody, man. I hear the monopoly thing thrown out a lot when it comes to Microsoft, and that's far as from the truth. Um, and look, dude, it's far from being a monopoly, no matter what Microsoft does. But I'm rest assured of that because of the way Microsoft conducts themselves in their business, especially the way Phil Spencer is. And I'm not saying I'm opposed to them purchasing WB games. Is that this just, in fact, I'm the opposite. I wouldn't mind if they picked them up, but for the right reasons. And I'm going to give you guys my perspective on that because for me, there's a lot of potential and upside for them picking up WB games. Um, but again, they also got to be a little bit careful, like I did in my previous videos talking about Game Pass. You know, there's a lot of things they need to focus on to make Game Pass the Netflix of gaming, as everybody's comparing them to. And I'm pretty sure Microsoft thinks in those terms somewhat. Now, just to let you guys know, when I hear people saying that, I do put a caveat out there. There is a difference between, you know, the different type of, what do you call that? Well, look, Netflix, it has to deal with movies, and of course, Game Pass is more a game, so it's a little bit different, right? There's more interaction in the Game Pass side because gamers like to interact with their product. And then a lot of times you can get some interaction with movies and stuff like that, but after 2 hours, or if you're watching a series, it's not as engrossing as video games can be, and as gamers know. Right? So there's a lot of things that I think Microsoft has to look at when it comes to this, because I want Game Pass to succeed, man. That's how much I like it, dude. In fact, I mean, I play Game Pass so much. I usually play it like every day. With the exception of this week, and the only reason I didn't play is that I jacked up my elbow. Number one, I had therapy, I had all this stuff going on, and I didn't have time to do it. Because if I played Game Pass or I played a game, I think I played what was it, Dragon Quest Builders 2 the other night, man. And before I know it, man, I spent 2-3 hours on that game. So I got to be real cognizant of that, right, and careful. And so I just didn't play it at all this week because I know how addictive it can be. And as you guys know, they have Game Pass. This is why their subscriptions are growing, because Game Pass offers a lot of value and it offers a lot of variety. And that's two things that gamers like, especially gamers in this day and age. So that's the things that I think that Microsoft has to look at if they're deciding to get WB Games. And I don't know if they're going to buy it as a whole. Probably would like to, right? So that they have access to everything. As you guys know, WB, their studios and their games, they have a lot of pedigree, man. They're not like, and there's nothing wrong with indie games and stuff like that. But they have some really huge titles. I'm not going to go through the whole laundry list of titles. I mean, a lot of you guys know that already. But more specifically, yeah, they do have stuff that, to me at least, if Microsoft is looking to see how it's going to help their companies, more specifically their service, which is Game Pass. I look at something, let me give you an example, Telltale Games, of course. I look at that just because of the way it is, right? Content is king, and Game Pass is no exception. If that's one thing that they have in common with a lot of these streaming services, man, it is content, and they need content. And when you look at Telltale Games and the series that they have on there, whether it be Walking Dead, Guardians of the Galaxy, the Batman series that they did, all those titles that they did, Telltale Games did, those story related titles and stuff like that. To me, that would be a good addition because it's episodic, number one, and it's something that people can get into, start, stop really quickly. You could stop it and then pick it up later on, depending on your schedule. There's a lot of things about those Telltale games that match a streaming service and a streaming service like Game Pass. I'm not saying that they're the best games, and a lot of people might like them, some people don't. But again, you need content in there, and you need the variety, and that's just something that I think that would help Game Pass. A lot of people gravitate towards that. There's a lot of people that like those games, and it's not just about the games they have um, within that library right now that they can just add in day one, right? So then you have the content just having a lot of games in the service. But it's also because they can continue with that. And then for me, is something I would like to see in that Telltale format um, is like a Halo game where they actually focus more on the story, and then you can actually focus more on the characters, and you can experience the Halo universe from another perspective. Because one thing I love about Halo, that's why I'm more of a Halo guy than a Gears guy, and there's nothing wrong with Gears. All right, I like Gears as well, but I fall more into the Halo side because of the science fiction aspect of it and the story, and the lore, right, and the mythology, all that stuff. And so for me, something like Telltale Games would be a good addition to the service, especially when you're trying to sell subscriptions. Of course, you got everybody's talking about Mortal Kombat. I believe they also have Injustice. They got the whole Batman Superman um, thing going on and stuff like that. And it would be great to get another Superman game. That's what everybody's clamoring for. As you guys know, I'm more of a Marvel guy, but I'm a comic book guy and I'm a gamer. So I can see the best of both worlds happening with that. And and the bottom line, Microsoft, as long as they're looking at it from the perspective of how it's going to help them. And when it comes to WB games, depending again, I don't know, and nobody really knows what's going on in the background with the money and all that kind of stuff, right? Or what the limitations are, or what's going to be allowed and not allowed. Leave that to the pencil pushers and stuff like that. But just from the perspective of a gamer and somebody who's pro Xbox and definitely pro Game Pass, I could see that transitioning happening, and I could see the upside of it. Now, again, I've talked about this before. I mean, something I think Microsoft has to be kind of wary of is just having too much content. I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, but just hear me out. I talked about market share and stuff like that. You have to kind of have a slow build, and one thing I noticed that Microsoft is doing with Game Pass is that subscription base, that it just keeps on growing. So if it continues to grow, yeah, this is a no-brainer for me. This is something that if you just dump these games in there, just the games that they have alone, not counting the stuff that they create in the future. Of course, everybody's talking about mass matching up Killer Instinct and sorry, it's Mortal Kombat. It's something like that. All those kind of crossovers and stuff like that. So I mean, it's doable, right? And most importantly for Microsoft, it'll push subscriptions, and then they can moving forward, man. Then they can start creating some really good stuff. I mean, what they're doing with the studios that they have now, and I'm talking about Microsoft, allowing them to be themselves, allowing them to be creative, come up with the stuff that they need, um, kind of pushing the envelope at the same time, giving them the support, especially these studios before, man. I mean, especially like Bethesda is a perfectly good example, man. Those guys have such a good relationship. That they haven't even missed a beat when it comes to them transitioning over. It'll be interesting to see what E3 is all about and how that goes. But anyway, yeah, for me personally, yeah, I think it would be a good purchase for him. Again, just Microsoft looking at it through not through rose-colored glasses, but through looking at it through the lens of how does it help them. And I think it will. I think it will. But anyway, that's just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think down below on the channel. Host take it further. We out.